So I've been able to get a steady flow of clients when I shifted my thinking away from spending all this time and money on marketing, placing more value and effort into increasing the value of these pet commissions, like my customer service, the painting itself, the shipping time, the packaging, and also giving more care and love and staying in touch with my past clients. Hello and welcome. My name is Lauren Elizabeth with Lauren Elizabeth Animal Art. If you're new here, welcome. I share regular tutorials, how-to videos on acrylic, pet, and wildlife art. And I've been commissioning my acrylic pet portraits now for 7 years. I've made so many mistakes, many of which I'll share in this video because I'll be sharing my top 7 hugest mistakes that you really want to avoid in this business. And I hope that I can help you avoid them too. And if you're one of those people that responded to the question that I posted on social media about questions on your pet portrait commissions and pet painting itself, I try to fit all that into this video. So I really think that you'll get a lot out of this. But in case you want to skip to it, I have a list of the questions and the minutes down below. But guys, let's get started. All right, so as I go through these 7 big mistakes, I'll be painting Gwynnie, this precious black cat, and here let's go through the colors. Starting from the bottom and working up, I have my fluid titanium white by Golden Brand, then phthalo blue, black, yellow ochre, cadmium yellow, and violet. And later on, I'll be adding permanent red, raw sienna, orange, and bright aqua green. And in case you're wondering, I use Master's Touch medium and heavy body acrylic paint. I also use Liquid-X for my fluorescent blues and pinks, and only for my white, I get the fluid titanium white in the Golden Brand. All right, so now for the first mistake that you really don't want to make before accepting pet portrait commissions is neglecting to learn your painting pace and the portrait sizes you plan to offer. Every pet portrait will come with new, unforeseen challenges. Whether you've been doing this for a couple days or a couple decades, there's no way around this. It's just a part of the painting process, and being human also affects this too. You will absolutely have days where you're feeling exhausted or antsy or grumpy, and on top of that, you may even have to work from less than great reference photos. So for example, you may be working on a 6x6 portrait of a cat that takes twice as long as you predicted. And on the flip side, you may be working on a 16x20 canvas that basically paints itself and takes you 1 day to complete. And the worst thing you could do is promise a client that you'll meet a specific deadline and not actually follow through. Or you rush the process and create a less than excellent painting, or ship off the painting before it's dried and it's sticky when they receive it. So what I suggest to avoid this mistake is take the time to paint 8 to 10 paintings, pet portraits of different sizes that you are considering offering. Take note to how long each one takes you to complete. Just keep in mind that this will be the slowest time you'll be recording. Your pace will only get faster as you consistently practice painting and gain that confidence. Then once you have that predicted painting time, tag on an extra week. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's far better to receive a painting early than too late. And don't miss this part. This is extra super important. That additional week that I suggest you tag on to your predicted painting time, that should not include the drying and varnishing time. So I tell Masterclass students this all the time, at the very least, give that completed painting 1 week, so 7 days to dry, and begin the curing process. Then you varnish it with a paint-on or spray-on varnish is just fine. Then you wait another 24 hours between varnish coats, and then after all that, you can finally package and ship the painting. Side note, I use the Liquid-X brand gloss varnish first. I paint that on. I apply 1 coat on the sides and the surface of the painting. I let that dry for 24 hours, And then I apply, of the same brand, a matte varnish. So what the gloss does is it brings out the colors. The matte varnish pulls out it takes away the glare. Now the goal over time should be that you speed up your process without sacrificing quality. Then you can complete paintings faster, take on more commissions, get to the point where you feel confident having a waiting list. All right, so the number 2 mistake that you really want to avoid when taking on pet portrait commissions is expecting the money to come in immediately. The majority of artists that I speak to about this go into offering custom pet portraits because they want to make some part-time or even full-time income. This is entirely possible. In fact, I've never gotten paid this much from pet portraits ever in my life. However, once you make the decision, you're now a business owner, an artist, and a content creator. And honestly, I could break that up even further. You're a bookkeeper, you're a photographer, you become a videographer. So it's wise to put the very little that you make at the beginning back into improving the quality of your painting portraits, the packaging, your customer service, and the shipping time. And yes, that also includes marketing your work, but I promise you don't have to spend buckets of money to get your art in front of people. I'll explain this in a later point. So like any business at the very beginning, you likely won't have much take-home money. But if you're consistently painting and improving and speeding up your process and fine-tuning it, here's how you can make money over time: by raising your prices each year. Clients aren't actually buying that one custom painting, they're actually buying the hours upon hours of time you've spent improving your skill. So if you're consistent with your growth and your painting, it's entirely fair to raise your prices each year. And that's what I've done. I'm super transparent with my prices so clients can see exactly what I provide and for how much on my website and also on Etsy for my smaller sizes. But for a 6x6 inch canvas pet portrait, this is the smallest size canvas in inches that I offer. I only offer 4 different sizes. For that size, I charge $192. For my largest size, my 16x20 inch canvas, I charge $563, and this does not include shipping. Now I know what you're thinking, how do you price pet portraits? Well, I use linear inch pricing, and I wish I could give you a black and white answer when it comes to pricing pet portraits. That's what I was seeking so hard when I first accepted commissions, but there really isn't one. There's a lot of gray areas. Now, I'll talk a little bit more about pricing, but I won't go into linear inch pricing too much. I will tell you that there are a lot of different things that go into that measurement, like labor costs, marketing prices, material costs, the complexity of your artwork, delivery costs, if that's something you want to offer, your experience level, and your reputation. But if raising your prices each year is something you decide to do, make sure you don't start off pricing too high or too low. Always be fair and honest and objective with your pricing. And try not to be shaken if people do make persnickety comments about your prices being too high or too low. Just turn the other cheek, try and be as respectful as possible, because you know that you're in the learning process, you're allowed to make mistakes, and hey, if push comes to shove and you have to lower those prices a little bit or raise them again sooner than after a year, so be it. If it helps you learn and attract the right customers, go for it. A third huge mistake that you really want to avoid is poorly packaged pet portraits. So real quick, I'll go through how I package my custom pet portraits. I squeeze in, to save on waste, a mini certificate of authenticity with the year, my signature, the title, the medium, the size. I enclose the canvas with 2 recycled cardboard backboards, which I keep contained inside a plastic sleeve. I want to use these up until I can get the biodegradable and compostable sleeves on Eco Enclose. I place that in a recycled box, which I have to put together, fold together in a round tissue that I get from No Issue. It's custom tissue paper, compostable. I finish it off by adding my kitty and thank you so much stamps, which by the way, it's so much easier to do this before packaging the item. And if you missed it, I added in a flyer that I made on Vistaprint, and then as well as a freebie of some kind. I try to add in print or my scripture cards of something like that. And before I seal this, I add in a handwritten card to the client. I do that with my art prints. I do that with my commissions. A real handmade item should come with a handwritten card, I think. And I'm actually not done yet. What I've been adding recently to my art prints and my commissions is a coupon card, some sort of flyer piece of paper that has a small coupon that's just for them to go towards the next commission or even my next print. So with all that said, the worst thing you could do is ship off a painting and it gets there damaged because you weren't wise about how you packaged it. I wrote this in my Amazon book, which I'll also link down below, The Art and Business of Pet and Wildlife Portraiture. My husband used to be a FedEx driver for many, many years. He's not anymore, but he has seen how other workers have handled packages and mailers and envelopes. I'm not saying all of them are like this, but you just don't know who's going to be handling this package, and so you want to make sure it's as safe as possible. You also want to make sure it looks pretty without breaking the bank. I didn't have much money to spend and put into the packaging at the very beginning, so you got to get real creative. To simplify this for you even more, here are 7 things that I really recommend you include in your packaging to not just make it look pretty, to not just make it handmade and personal, but also to increase your chances of sales in the future. So I recommend a coupon code. That's been really working for me. It's something new I added recently when I opened my Etsy shop this August. A flyer of some kind. So that flyer should preferably include a QR code so they can take an image with their phone and it takes them to your website, or it takes them to a page with your past commission work, or it takes them to a tutorial like I have on my flyer. Next, and it's probably the single most important thing, is a handwritten card. I know that might sound silly, but you want to connect with that person. You want to make a pretty card that they can read that was written by you. You show your appreciation for how they trusted you with painting a pet portrait of their fur baby or their friends. Maybe express your sadness, your empathy for the pet they just lost, and anything like that where you can just be honest, genuine. You can just let them know that you care. Now, to protect canvases, I highly recommend some sort of compostable or recyclable backboard, at least keeping it on the back, because if you're pushing the front, it'll just warp, it'll distort the canvas itself. So you want to make sure that you either have one on both sides or at least one. And then a fitted, sturdy box of some kind. You don't want a box that you just got from Amazon. You don't want to reuse that one, preferably not. You want to keep that looking professional too. And it needs to be fitted, not so the painting is rattling around in there. If so, that leads to my next point. Have stuffing of some kind so that in case that isn't 100% fitted, that it's not going to move around. Even if it's the perfect size, I still recommend some tissue paper in there. I have learned that I don't need to add plastic wrap. I can just stuff it with this custom tissue paper that I got from No Issue, and it works just perfect. It has kept all my pet portraits safe, and I haven't needed to use any of that plastic junk. And remember, you're not locked in to how you package your pet portrait now or this month or next month. As you make more money from commissions or your art, it is wise to put that back into the quality of your packaging and customer service, the shipping time, and also the painting itself and your process. Don't expect perfection at the beginning or even the first year, guys. I definitely felt a lot of pressure here at this very part. Packaging always made me very stressed out. I didn't know if it looked unprofessional to the other person. Even when I thought it looked good, I just wasn't sure what they would think. So just test things out. I don't think it's realistic to expect you to get tons of sales and for your packaging to be looking professional until like 8, 9, 10 months. If you're consistent and you're trying to make every pet portrait and the process better than the last, this will improve and you will get to a point that you're very happy with the value of what you're offering. Now, real quick, I'll go through the companies I use. I use Eco Enclose to get my boxes and my mailers for my prints. I use the No Issue for my custom tissue paper, which is quite expensive up front, but they have lasted me for months and months and months, even when I add lots of the tissue paper to these packages. And then the last one that isn't all eco-friendly, but the ones you can get some that use bamboo and also recycled paper. The flyers I get are from Vistaprint. All right, guys, so this one's a doozy. It's definitely one that I continue seeing artists neglect to have, and that's a contract or terms and conditions document for their pet portraits. This is what I stress quite a bit in my pet portrait commission process course in my masterclass. I guarantee the majority of your clients this won't even be an issue for, but it's that 10% for those clients that aren't so friendly that these documents will save you and will really protect your work, protect you, make the process less stressful. So you need some kind of document or contract. It can even be one page that they see and preferably sign by hand or e-sign, where it goes over your process, your terms, what you expect from them, and what they can expect from you. Now, I'll cover this in my interaction via email with the client. So I'll not just list this in the contract, I will also list it in the email, just letting them know what to expect. There has been a recent time that I forgot, and I actually ended up not charging them shipping because I just really want to make sure that they know crystal clear my terms and conditions. What's so important that this protects your work from being copied or them making tons of changes and you not getting paid for them, or the deadline that you made it crystal clear in your contract that you honor deadlines, but you don't guarantee them. And then the client's very upset with you because the painting is not on their doorstep. Now, again, like I said before, I go over this in extreme detail, maybe even a little too much detail in my pet portrait commission course, in my masterclass. But the most important things to include in this document are your terms if the client wants to make additional changes and edits, your payment terms, whether you're requesting a deposit or a full payment up front or maybe at the end, and how you're going to get paid. By the way, side note, I never recommend anything less than a deposit at the very beginning before you even start painting. You also want to mention that the client cannot make copies of your work to sell, that according to the Federal Copyright Act of 1976 and the Federal Visual Rights Act of 1991, they have no rights to do this. And lastly, you want to include your terms and conditions for deadlines. That's a big one. So maybe you do what I do, where you say you honor deadlines but don't guarantee them. Or you can offer express paint, where if they have a deadline, you will absolutely honor it if they pay $75 or $100 or whatnot. And for the next mistake, you don't want to ship the painting out without sending the client progress updates, and especially not before the client's approval. Selling your original art and prints is so different from offering custom art. Okay, so we're serving them. They're coming to us to provide a product for them. Yes, we're getting paid, and yes, it's our art that we're creating, but they should have a say in it as well if it's custom art. Therefore, it's entirely fair, creatives, if the client wants to make changes. So for the benefit of you as the artist, to save you time, and also to benefit the client, getting them involved, making them feel a part of the process, and building that anticipation, send them regular updates. Keep it professional, keep it minimal too. You don't need to send them tons and tons of progress photos to bug them, but you do want to keep them informed from like sketching to first layer to third layer to final details. Give it your all and let the client see that. This is what really builds that trust in them. And be polite, be kind if they do want to make changes. This is also why it's so very important to have that contract or terms of conditions document. And then when you feel the painting is done, send them a photo or 2 or 3 so they can approve it. Now, if you'd like to learn more about my very low stress pet portrait commission process, I have that in my online animal art masterclass. That's also where I have everything I've learned about pet portraits, painting both cats and dogs, and lots of other animals. I have my 12-step pet portrait painting process, step by step, with many tutorials, also a printable guide, and I recently completed my Master Animal Fur Guide, another course within the online Animal Art Masterclass that also has an emphasis on painting pets. I also have tutorials for the beginner and advanced, learning how to draw pets and wildlife. And the whole heart behind this class is to help creatives who are struggling with things like depression, anxiety, and addiction like I used to, and helping them channel that energy into creating art. It was the church and animal art therapy that played an enormous role in my own recovery story, and I really hope to share that with other creatives too. So if this would bless you or a friend, check out the description box with the links to my online Animal Art Masterclass. But guys, let's get back to Quinny. All right, so another huge mistake that really can affect your business if you're not careful, and it did mine, is giving out free pet portraits to friends and family. This mistake in particular was hard for me to get over. But if you do this, you need to charge something. You need to not miss out on this super helpful learning experience where you get training in running your commission process, or practice sending invoices, or practice painting pet portraits, and interacting with a client when they want to make edits. I mean, this is valuable for you. So charge them like a regular client or give them a discounted rate. That's what I recommend. Now, if you're human like me, the other reason this is so important is because it can create resentment. You pour your heart into that pet portrait. You pour your time and money and resources into that pet portrait. So you want to be fair and honest. Tell them you have a waiting list and you can make sure you call them when they're next up on your list. Or if you don't have a waiting list quite yet, tell them you'll give them 10% off or nothing off. This is your decision here, and you need to make sure that you create peace for you and peace for the other family member. And if they make comments, so be it. Just ignore it and try and be kind and polite about it. I like to not assume that people automatically know how much effort and heart and time and love goes into each pet portrait. If they keep asking, you know what you could say? You could say, I'm an artist, I'm also a content creator, I'm a business owner, and my main focus right now is pouring my resources back into my business and trying to improve the quality of my pet portraits. So unless you pay this specific amount, I cannot accept. And that leads me to the next mistake, and this is a hard one, and that's accepting really poor reference photos. First of all, I like to stress to the client right off the bat that the better the photos, the better the painting. But if they absolutely cannot give you anything more because maybe the pet passed away, here are 2 options, 2 ways you can go about this situation. 1, you can put the photo through phone apps. I love Color Story, that's the one I use all the time. You can also use Photoshop if you know it, but you'd be surprised how much you can actually do with these phone apps. So if the issue with your photo is it's blurry, you can up the clarity. Or if it's too dark, you can increase the exposure and the lightness on the Color Story app. Or if the angle's not quite right, you can flip it around, you can turn it, you can zoom in or zoom out. Now on this note, it can be very helpful defining to your clients, future clients, whether you like an up-close view or far away. I personally don't like painting full body pet portraits, even though I'll do that if push comes to shove. But my favorite is clear, up close, bright photos. This is what I ask my clients. Now, the other thing you can do in this circumstance is just simply saying no. You can tell them that I want to provide the best quality portrait for you, and I feel I personally cannot give this using these photos or using this photo. But I do have a few artists in mind who may be able to accept this challenge, and here are a few of them. It can be very helpful if you do say no to have some artists on hand that you've already gotten permission to hand out their business email. I've done this when people come to me with a deadline that I cannot meet and they absolutely need it done, so I'll hand it to another artist. But there's nothing wrong with giving it to an artist if you're not willing to work with those reference photos. That's entirely fair. So going into any commission, be crystal clear about what you require, the kind of photos you need to create the best portrait you can create. So ideally photos that are clear, bright, and the pet is well represented, meaning you can see the pet's face, the animal's looking either happy or excited or peaceful, and you're happy with how close or far away the animal is in the photo. And try to make this easy on yourself. So I recommend at least 3 photos of the pet, not just one. If they can give me more and a video, that's even better. All right, so you know at the very beginning when I was telling you that you don't really need to spend lots of money on marketing, well, here's the point where I go over that. This is probably the biggest mistake that I see creatives make, and that's not creating video content and or staying in touch with past clients. I ask my clients often how they found me, and 9 out of 10 times they say they found me on YouTube, on my channel. So the next answer I'll get is that they found me on a Google search and they were able to find my website or my YouTube channel. We are in the age of the video, guys. Everyone is either watching a video on social media of some kind, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, or on YouTube. This is honestly how I learned how to design a website on YouTube, or how to paint pet portraits, or how to use Photoshop. So I will always recommend that creatives start a YouTube channel. Start small and work up where you can create content each week, or once every 2 weeks, or once a month. But the next option, if you don't want to do that, is to create more video content and reels on social media. Don't try to impress people with your videos. That's not really what leads to sales. It's about serving them, impacting them with helpful content. You gotta do it scared, creatives. I promise you at the very beginning, it's normal to feel intimidated, a little overwhelmed, feeling a little insecure. I felt all those emotions when I first started my YouTube channel, but now it's extremely easy. I've created a system. I use a $30 app that's it, one-time payment, and it's called Luma Fusion. I went on YouTube to learn how to use it. Now, my other tip here is focus on no more than 3 social media platforms. You want to post content where you can respond to people, you can connect with people, you can hear their questions. And if you're just spread thin because you're all over the internet, I recommend just sticking with 3 or 2 or even 1. So my point here is you really don't have to spend much money creating a YouTube channel or posting on social media. Just be really strategic, put the people first, and you will get those people coming in and asking you for commissions. I don't have to spend a dime on my YouTube channel. I told myself after I reached 20,000 subscribers that I would then add ads onto my channel, and that's what I did. So I now get paid for having a YouTube channel. And lastly, don't forget about your past clients. At this point in my business right now, majority of my business is from returning clients. They'll come to me for friends and family that have lost their pet, or they have 4 pets in the house and they want a painting of each pet. Send them Christmas cards, ask them permission to put them on your subscriber list, on your email list. Make sure you keep in touch with them when you're doing big Christmas sales or any sort of discount on commissions. Be creative, and you don't have to make it expensive, but make sure you have a list of these past clients that you can stay in touch with and serve. All right, creatives, so we have reached the end of this tutorial. I really hope this was helpful. I bet you have a lot of questions. We covered a lot, so leave them in the comments down below and I'll be responding to you absolutely. I try to respond to every single comment. If this would help a friend, pass it on, share it, like and subscribe if you already haven't. I hope you enjoyed the rest of Gwynnie the Black Cat's painting, this Halloween fall painting. By the way, have a wonderful Halloween, stay safe, enjoy yourself, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye!